there are still some works to be done for this diamond shader. For one, I want some different colors for each of these diamonds. And to do that, we need to go all the way back to this hexagonal grid. And we're going to be using this center to generate some random values for each cell, each diamond. Create a noise texture and connect the center over. And let's just use something really big so that we have some very random noise. Now create a separate XYZ, or you can create a separate color and use the RGB mode. But for me, I just prefer using the separate XYZ and connect the color over. And next, let's create two map range nodes, one for X and one for Y, like so. And let's take a look at the X channel. And we need to increase the contrast of this texture to something like this. And again, do something similar with the Y dimension, the Y channel. But for the output, let's clamp this to 0.5 and 0.8. Next, let's create a combined color node, but instead of using the RGB mode, we're gonna use the HSV mode, and connect these two over like that and use 1 for the value. Alright, let's take a look. We have something like this. Let's move these here. Alright. Now you can actually control these numbers to control the saturation of these random color, but for me, I just prefer to use the 0.5 and 0.8 values. Now I'm gonna create a mixed color node and drop it right onto the wire like that. Increase the factor to 1, and for the color, use pure red. And for the mix mode, let's use overlay. Now Control Shift D to duplicate this and change this to green. And let's take a look. And next, create another one for blue. And let's see, we have something like this. Duplicate these colors, connect these to the B input of the other mixed colors, and let's change the mix mode back to mix. And let's copy these colors over like that. And up here, I'm going to create a value node. This is gonna be a 0 to 1 value that control the amount of randomness for the colors. Alright, let's take a look. And let's increase this to 1. We have maximum random colors. Let's set this to 0.5, and we have somewhat random colors. Let's say 0.1. We have something like this. Alright. Now we also have this RGB node to control the color of the diamond. So we need to somehow incorporate this RGB node into the overall, this bunch here. And to do that, let's copy this mixed color node and connect the wire over like this. And this time we will use multiply mode, like so. And connect this diamond color over like that. And yeah, let me just rearrange the nodes a little. Now instead of inputting the colors directly into these glossy shaders, we will use these colors instead. Alright, let's go here and check out the result. And we see nothing changed yet because this number is too low. So let's increase this to 1 and see the result. So as you can see, we now have a different colors for each of the diamonds. Alright, let me go back here and rearrange our nodes a bit. Okay, let's continue. Duplicate this multiply node and drop it right here before the diffuse and the glossy shader. And let's move this A connection down to B. And next, let's create another RGB node and connect it to the A input of this multiply node. Now you can actually get away with leaving this as perfect white color like this, but I personally prefer to lower this intensity to something like that. Alright, so let's just leave it as that. This will be our diamond color. Duplicate this multiply node and change the mode back to mix. For the B slot, we will use this color. So connect this reroute node to the B input like so. And as for the factor, we're going to be using this value, this same value. So connect this one up here like that. Now as you can see, if we set this value to 0, we have no color variations whatsoever. And if we set this to 1, we have maximum color variations. And let's go up here. This RGB node will be the overall color of the diamonds, and this RGB color will be the overall brightness of the refraction. And this will only work if we set this value to something like this. Alright, so yeah, this will be the brightness of the refraction. Okay, so let's set this to something like that and just leave it as that. Alright, we are almost there, but we need some more attention on the gaps, because right now the gaps are just some flat piece of metal. So we need to create some bump for the gaps as well. And this is the gap. So let's move this up here. Let's go back all the way to here, this node. This will be the height information of the gap. So create a color ramp node and connect this over. And let's move this white key over here about that much. And let's move this color ramp over here and connect this color ramp to a bump node like that, and connect this bump to the gap shader like so. Now the diamond is actually pretty much done, but we still need some improvement. But first let me just create a monkey real quick. As you can see, we have quite a lot of noise coming off from the diamond surface. Now you can actually just turn on the denoise to get rid of all the noise coming off from the diamonds. But if you don't want to turn on the denoise, we need to somehow get rid of this noise, because there is a lot of cheating going on with the diamond surface. So yeah, the light coming off from the diamond surface is a little weird. So we need to solve this before moving on. So to do that, we will create a light path node, and we will mix this with a diffuse shader, a simple diffuse shader like so, and connect the camera ray over like that. So for the camera ray, it's going to be the diamond, but for any other kind of ray, it's going to be just simple diffuse, white diffuse. To improve this a little, I'm going to use the color here. This is the color of the diamond. I'm going to use this for the cheating diffuse color. So if I set the color to blue, I can see some kind of blue light coming off from the diamond surface, but nothing more. And let's turn off the cheating, and as you can see, we have a lot of noise, and this is with the cheating, we have no noise whatsoever. Alright, you can actually call this a day, but for the sake of reusability, we need to create a node group to reuse this diamond shader later on. Select everything. Alright, let's see if we missed something. Okay, looks like everything, and Control G to group everything. And these two vector input are the same, so we can get rid of one like so. Now let's just duplicate this node like so. Connect the scale to the group input, and this is gonna be the diamond scale. Okay, and copy this group input down here. We're gonna create an input for the gap as well. So this is gonna be the gap thickness. Okay, it's gonna be from 0 to 1. This is gonna be the bevel, so let's leave this as 0.5, and this will be diamond bevel. Okay, and again this will also be from 0 to 1. And duplicate the group input again, and this time we will connect this to the group input, and this will be the sparkle intensity. Okay, the minimum value should be 0, and the maximum value, let's leave it to something very high. Alright, let's continue to create some more inputs. This will be the random colors, and create another group input node, and this time we will create an input for the color. Alright, let's continue. Duplicate this group input node all the way here to control our gap. And the final input we need to create is something to control the height of the diamond. So create another group input node and connect this distance to the group input. And finally, let's rename this to hexagon diamond. Alright, it's pretty much it, but there is one thing that I forgot, and that is to control these two Voronoi textures using this diamond scale. So create two multiply math nodes like this, one for each Voronoi texture. Now you can actually play with these two numbers to find the scales that work for you. For me, this number is 9 and this number is 5.33. Or you can just connect these to the group inputs to create some more inputs to control these scales later on. But as you can see, our node group is getting a little too complicated. And for me personally, I prefer my group to have just a few inputs to control the most important parameters. These two numbers, you can forget about these. Just play around with the numbers until you have something that you like and forget about it. Alright, the hexagonal diamond pattern is completely done, and you can actually stop watching now, but as a bonus, I'm going to just duplicate this node group and rename this to round diamonds. Okay, and let's go back in here, and instead of using the hex gradient as the base for the diamond, I'm going to use the hex grid. So the hex grid needs some more works before it can be used. So multiply this by 2 and invert it. Okay, and connect this like so. And so you have this very nice round diamond kind of pattern. Okay, so this is the hexagonal diamonds and this is the round diamond. Alright, the round as well as the hexagonal diamond patterns are completely done. And at the end of the day, if you manage to create something like this, then congratulations, you've done everything correctly. But if you somehow don't get this result, then unfortunately you must have made a mistake somewhere, and it's actually very hard to know where you messed up without seeing your node setup. So unfortunately, if you don't manage to create something like this, then you have to watch the video again to see where you messed up. And if you don't want to go through all the hassle of making these diamond shaders, then please consider buying these shaders on my Gumroad or my Blender Market store. I'll leave the links in the description. Thank you. Alright, I'll see you next time.